can't wear a mask when I'm talking about the doctor. What's up everybody, StevDeS here. Would this be considered a Dragon Ball Day? Not really. I didn't really like the concept that I came up with, even though I found out a good way to make the concept work when I first tackled this issue. But oddly, it did come together nicely. Using the hyperbolic time chamber as a catalyst between the Dragon world and the Sonic world at the end of Sonic Generations, this ended up being a scenario that could actually happen. I am getting ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and recap. In the last part, Dr. Robotnik and Dr. Eggman, Robotnik being his past self, ended up in the hyperbolic time chamber of all places, and after finding a way out, they found an odd poster saying that people should join a Red Ribbon Army. Naturally, the doctors took to this task very nicely, making friends with Dr. Gero and alerting the GUN in their world about their odd disappearance. Naturally, the GUN don't like the fact that Dr. Robotnik is gone. The GUN had sent Sonic, Tails, Shadow, and Rouge all to the Dragon world through a portal that they discovered at one of Eggman's bases that were still on their side. And so, let's get into this scenario known as what if Dr. Robotnik joined the Red Ribbon Army. As explained in the last part, the Red Ribbon Army has gone through some rather technological advances. The strongest generals, except for one, I'll get into that later, had actually accepted the thought about being turned into androids. Android 8 was the most recent android at the time. So, if they could make people much like Major Metallotron with all the functionality of 8, they could make some strong higher-ups. Naturally, they do have the robot army as well, which that's being built as we speak. Also as we speak, a certain blue hedgehog and a yellow fox are traveling around this new planet, trying to find any sort of trace of Eggman. They do hear people screaming, though. They end up in the city, on an island, and people are screaming, and then when they get to the World Martial Arts Tournament, I think you guys know where I'm going with this. They spot a giant ape towering over an older man in a ring. Naturally, they don't know the rules of this universe. They think that ape's gonna destroy people. And so, Sonic and Tails spring into action, and Great Ape Goku's just kind of seeing the hedgehog one moment, punching himself in the shoulder, then seeing himself on the other shoulder, punching him in that shoulder, and then seeing him on it. No. But yeah, Sonic is quick enough to distract, and so Yamcha, having given a lot of his bandit gear to Bulma, asks her where his sword is. And rummaging through that stuff, he's able to find his sword, he tosses it to Jackie Chun, and Jackie Chun, while the blue hedgehog is distracting the big great ape, cuts off Goku's tail. This would mean Jackie Chun would win outright when it came down to the World Martial Arts Tournament, instead of both of them having to get up and saying that I'm the champion. He would have just a little more energy and would have knocked Goku out with that last hit. However, after the Great Ape shrinks to a little boy, the fans are starting to boo Sonic and Tails because they're kind of interfering. Not to mention, they're naked! Yeah, in this world, Sonic and Tails are gonna have to get outfits because even though they're beastmen, these beastmen still wear clothes. Sonic and Tails just kind of get out of there quickly, and after assessing the situation, they go look around for some sort of tailor. Sonic and Tails would enter a clothing shop, and their gold rings would be worth a good handful of zenny as far as trading in for some clothes. They do have a bit of change left over after all. They decide that hanging out here isn't really gonna be too important, but they do want to be sure that monkey doesn't come out again. So they witness the end of the World Martial Arts Tournament with Jackie Chun as the victor. They decide to get at a good vantage point so they can watch, and the curious eye of Bulma does notice them on top of the roof. She waves down to them like, come on down. They helped with a really disastrous thing, so they'd want to meet them. After meeting Sonic and Tails, Bulma questions why they can move that fast. And why can two tails fly? That just doesn't make, that makes no scientific sense. They end up meeting the crew, and after the tournament's all done, Sonic says he can't stick around because he's got someone to look for. Someone really bad. Tails waves goodbye and hopes that they also take care of themselves as the two take off from the World Tournament. Now, where's Shadow and Rouge in all of this? Well, they've already found their way to Muscle Tower. Shadow and Rouge are infiltrating Muscle Tower. They're not really going the blow everything up, attack head on sort of method. However, they have put on some winter gear, something that Rouge would be savvy to dress Shadow up in, since she knows about the Beastmen by now as well. And so they would get to the top of Muscle Tower pretty effortlessly. Both of them are very fast on their feet, and when it comes down to just skipping a lot of it, including figuring out the maze puzzle, they'd be able to just get up to where the main bad guy of Muscle Tower is. However, he is interrupted by a call from a superior officer.
Well, if it isn't a different kind of hedgehog and his girlfriend to annoy me. What are you doing here? I could ask you the same thing, Doctor. What's your plan? What do you plan to do with this Red Ribbon Army? You know it's the same thing it always is. Worldwide panic and destruction, leaving way for my commanding of this entire planet. And the Red Ribbon Army has been very, very useful to that end. Why don't you join the winning side, Shadow? It might be good for you. I'm here on orders from the GUN to bring you in, Doctor. You are not going to get away with this, in our world or this world. Oh, you see, Shadow, I've already won. For you see, the Red Ribbon Army already owns a good 50% of this rock, and most of the world trembles at the name. My robot technology is years ahead of what this pitiful planet has to offer. So why don't you go back to your world, and we'll call it even. No dice. That's when Shadow shoots the display and takes on the cybernetic General White. This cyborg is actually stronger than he would have hoped. It's here Shadow has to remove his limiter rings just to keep up with the android. Eventually, though, Rouge is able to get Shadow out of there, returning the inhibitor rings to his wrists and escaping as quickly as she can. We now go to where Goku is traveling after meeting Nam and after meeting Jiren. I can't say Jiren because we have another Jiren now, in which he is looking to rescue the fake 4-star ball from Pilaf. And the Pilaf forces end up getting routed just the same as far as the Red Ribbon Army is concerned. However, this army has badniks among it. Is a certain hedgehog and fox that come across the badniks and the soldiers surrounding these three seemingly innocent people. Sonic and Tails do their job, taking out the military and taking out the badniks fighting alongside them in order to rescue the Pilaf gang, not realizing that they're helping bad guys here. And afterwards, Pilaf thanks the two and offers them a spot aboard his ship. Why not? There's no reason to make someone who took out an entire battalion of the Red Ribbon Army angry, right? Tails does pipe up here and says maybe that ship has some good communication technology. If he could route in on the frequency of a lot of Eggman's badniks from the scraps around here combined with whatever's on that ship, maybe they could find where Eggman is. And so the Pilaf gang join forces with Sonic and Tails for a little while, actually making themselves useful. We go back to the northern Muscle Tower area in which Snow meets Goku.
And consequentially, Shadow and Rouge are at Sinnoh's house. Rouge can't carry Shadow a good long way, so she ends up getting lost in the snow, freezing, coming across Sinnoh's house, and knocking on the door about an hour and a half before Goku arrives. Sinnoh's mother greets the two, and they explain why they're here. They know who's behind the Red Ribbon Army, and they're here to take them out. Unfortunately, Red Ribbon Army has these upgrades that they don't like. Sinnoh's mother trembles a bit. What if the Red Ribbon Army comes here? Well, Shadow isn't intimidated. He just needs to get his bearings back, because every other part of the Red Ribbon Army was pathetic up to this point. It was just that general. That general was the one that was more powerful than anything. Naturally, Goku would be led back to Pilaf's ship before going to Sinnoh, and knowing the threat Goku is, Pilaf gladly hands the Dragon Ball over. Shadow and Rouge end up camping out at Sinnoh's house, keeping watch for anything that might lead the Red Ribbon Army here. Naturally, this is the part where Goku shows up, being dragged into the house by Sinnoh, frozen solid. When he comes to, he sees Shadow and naturally mistakes Shadow for Sonic. Who doesn't? However, the mentioning of Sonic does in fact intrigue the Hedgehog as he asks about how he knows Sonic. Turns out, Goku got the Dragon Ball from the Pilaf gang because he knew Sonic, and because the Pilaf gang knows that Sonic is kind of a big deal. However, the fight with Colonel Silver, that doesn't happen. Instead, Colonel Silver has to retreat because he has no more men, he has no more supplies, and those two were just way too much. The Red Ribbon Army was not prepared for fighting people of this magnitude, and so he has to make the rather questionable choice of retreating. Calling in, naturally, General Red is very, very angry, but Eggman tells him to hold on. Eggman thinks that the good Colonel is due for the robotic enhancements most of the other generals have already gotten, and then he'll be deployed to Muscle Tower. General White and the newly promoted General Silver are going to be awaiting Goku, Shadow, and Rouge in the next one. So what do you all think? Do you think Sonic and Tails might bring something out in the Pilaf gang? What if that fortress, could it be useful? How do you think Goku, Shadow, and Rouge might actually work together in this timeline? What is the overall goal of the Eggman, Robotnik, Gero sort of triple alliance? Other than world domination. Go ahead and leave your comment below. For more what-ifs in the realm of video gaming and Dragon Ball alike, such as if, well honestly I have to bring attention to the Bardock one. I was gonna do it for Dragon Ball Days this week, but look at this poll! That's so cool, like it's 50-50! I can't do much with that, so if you haven't seen the Bardock one, go check it out and vote in that poll above. Give me a clear direction. In the meantime, I think I should celebrate almost 500 subs with a what if you guys all really, really like. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao. Isn't Eggman like he's an omelet on legs? That sounds delicious.